Hello, welcome to Extraordinary Life Stories. On this episode, I'm talking with Spencer Proffer. Spencer is an award-winning and highly acclaimed producer and media innovator with a remarkable career spanning music, film and television. Known for his groundbreaking work, Spencer has collaborated with some of the biggest names in the industry, including Tina Turner, Stevie Wonder, Dolly Parton. His production of Quiet Riot's album Metal Health made history as the first heavy metal record to top the Billboard charts. Beyond music, Spencer has produced films and TV content that blend entertainment with social impact, earning widespread recognition for his creative vision and ability to shape culture across multiple platforms. I'm really looking forward to talking with Spencer, so let's get into it. Spencer, thank you for joining me.
Come on. All right.
Flown in especially to see me from LA, from
all
Hollywood.
all the way on the flight. I couldn't do anything but think about this interview.
And me too. It's been consuming me for days. No, super
Anyway,
privileged
I'm glad
to have
to
you
be
here.
here, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Tell me, who is Spencer Proffer?
Who is he? He's this poor immigrant kid who came to America with a dream, fulfilled it, took a roller coaster ride up and down and sideways like you do when you go into the media business. But the thing you come out with is your heart and your soul. And if you can be successful, you can make a difference. That's who Spencer is. He's trying to make a difference.
And you look fantastic at 75 years old?
Turned 75, dude. I'm going to be Christmas Day. Me and Mr. JC are going to hit an anniversary. And I hope to be around as long as his memory is.
Yeah. Awesome. I want to go back to a young Spencer.
Yeah.
Early influences, who and what shaped your kind of career decisions in your life?
Poverty. When you know, there's a great line in a Bob Dylan song for all those who are watching and listening. He had a song called Like a Rolling Stone. There was a great line in there. When you ain't got nothing, you got nothing to lose. So you got to go balls to the wall with what you believe in. If you're an artist, if you're an architect, if you're a painter, if you're Vincent van Gogh, we have a book division. We just did a wonderful book on his journey. And Patsy Cline was a young, talented singer who dreamt of going to the Grand Ole Opry. You're allowed to dream. And one of the docs, I'm producing music anchor docs now, documentary films that have to be called documentaries because they're factual, but they're still cinematic. But the essence of them all is it's okay to dream. It's okay to think that there's a better way, whether you stand next to your brother, or my Stand By Me project, and you want to help others, whether you want to tell the story like Don McLean did on American Pie and what it really meant, and taking the journey and then doing a children's book, which I can show you.
Yeah, I do.
That was inspired by the film. So for all of those who like this song, here's a children's book. Don wrote a foreword to it, which really touches me. I don't have my glasses. It's for all the children of the world. But you know what? You read it. It's better because...
For all the children in every corner of the globe, your dreams are the future of the world. Cling to them and set goals to make them come true. Don McLean.
Yeah.
Don McLean's American Pie.
Yeah, that is a philosophy that I live by. Patsy Cline was a dreamer. This book is about young Patsy. One of her big hits was called Walking After Midnight. What do we do when we dream? It's after midnight, we're dreaming. So dream about walking after midnight and be inspired. And let this, children 5, 6, 7, 8, they get older, be inspired. Let media inspire you. That's what we're doing. Same thing with Van Gogh. But I try and make books on my docs, and I try and make docs on songs that have made a difference in pop culture.
How did you get into it? You're in an industry that's so difficult to break into. What was the early journey that got you?
Journey.
And I'll talk about the things you did, the people that you were around that allowed you to work with people like Tina Turner, Stevie Wonder.
Well, to start with, I worked my way through college and graduate school. I have a law degree. And I was in a band writing songs. And I got the attention of an icon by the name of Clive Davis. And he offered me a job to either make another record or come and work for him. I couldn't sing, so not that good. So I moved to New York And that was my first kind of, in the big leagues, seeing how it worked, because Clive had signed Santana, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Simon, Garfunkel, Sly and the Family Stone, Chicago. And I was just Loggins and Messina. I was just a shadow watching all these things go down, records being made. I felt one day when I grew up, I would actually emulate and do stuff like that, and make records and have the records reach people, make a difference. So that's been the journey. It started when I was 23, and I'm older.
Yeah, but you're still smiling. You still look so fit. What do you do to keep in shape?
I go on the treadmill, I swim, and I love my wife and my kids, and now I have a 1-year-old grandkid. So that keeps me going, because I want to be around to see him go to college. And because his mother is English, he might go to Cambridge or Oxford, as far as I know. So I'm going to spend much more time in England now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Have you spent much time here previously? Or?
Yeah. I had done a little work for George Martin at Air Studios on Oxford. I had the good fortune of producing a track with a guy named Jeff Beck, who was a guitar player at Air when he was alive. And I spent some time. I lived actually right outside of Mayfair I saw the interview you did in Mayfair, which is fantastic.
John Caldwell's house.
Yeah. Very inspirational.
That's serious Mayfair, but yeah.
That's serious. I didn't, when I was 24, when I was here 25, I didn't live like he lives.
No, not many people do, and Mayfair's incredible, right?
But there's a poor section of Mayfair, there's a nice section. I actually like Knightsbridge. My wife and I like shopping. We like eating at Harrods. So I kind of stay in Knightsbridge when I come into town.
Yeah. There are so many people we could both mention that you have worked with, collaborated with. Who stands out? Who have you enjoyed working with the most?
My favorite artist was a singer. He's Australian. His name is Johnny Farnham. He's like the Springsteen of Australia, more like the Justin Timberlake of Australia. He was the lead singer of a band called Little River Band. I made a record with him. Very proud of that, 1984. I go back, I listened to that. We had, the title of the album was called Playing to Win. The Olympics were in Los Angeles. I licensed the track because the Americans were playing to win. But there were other tracks on the album that weren't as famous, but were cool. And I like one called Blind Eyes. We turned a blind eye to what was happening in the world. It's relevant today. I did that in 1984. So part of the inspiration of where I'm going is I use media to help get the message out for kids. I teach, I lecture. I was on the board of my kids' schools when they were growing up, Syracuse and American U. And I like giving back. And the way you give back, some guys do it with money, some guys do it with time. You can always make more money, but you can't make more time.
No, and you really realize that if either through potentially having a near death or a trauma in your life, or by getting older, right? Because you can't buy that back no matter how much money you've got. You can't buy being...
It doesn't matter. Man, it doesn't matter, because I'm an ex-football player, and there's a football field that's 100 yards long. And you start when you're little in your own end zone, or it's like soccer field, it's a big field. You move down the field. I'm in the last part of the field, not because I want to be, not that I could do a game from the ground up, but there's only so much time left before the game's over. And therefore, I want to do as much as I can, have as good a time.
I can feel that. I can feel that. You just touched on something that's really relevant to how we've connected, the sort of the power of the media and the information that's out there. But we are living in an incredibly turbulent time of misinformation.
Totally.
Social media that's sort of out of control. It's Wild West, right? And so just take, for example, TikTok, mental health questions or answers being given by influencers that are paid for by TikTok to give information that's misleading, it's inaccurate. So it's so important to try and find authentic people that are giving honest, quality controlled information. How is this going to evolve, in your opinion, from where it is now to something in the future that children, let alone all of us, can actually kind of sift through the BS and find the truth?
The truth is a good goal. And I'm a big believer, because I grew up listening to songs, getting goosebumps, dreaming, listening to lyrics. Beatles were great at that. When you think of Lucy in the Sky, when you think of Penny Lane, your mind goes to wherever McCartney or Lennon would take you. And there are other great poets who have written songs, like there used to be poets, whether it be Tennyson or Shakespeare or, Keats, Shelley. Well, who are those today? The poets of today are songwriters. And the poems that they write are embodied in the lyric and sometimes music. And what I think I can do, because I'm an ex-musician and I come from there, is take that and visualize it, tell stories about what I think they meant, let people interpret what they see, and just take a journey for 90 minutes visually. That's what I'm going to do with Stand By Me. That's what I'm doing with some Everly Brothers hits coming up. And the title of a doc that I'm doing next year is called All I Have to Do Is Dream. If you remember that song by the Everly Brothers, Dream. Well, the people who wrote it, their son, Del Bryant, is my partner. His parents wrote it. He grew up in that spirit. They wrote Wake Up Little Susie and Bye Bye Love and, other big songs too. But All I Have to Do Is Dream really speaks to what we're about.
Where does AI fit into all this? So artificial intelligence, there could be a Spencer Proffer sitting with me having an interview in 30 years' time, looking just like you, talking just like you, answering just like you, but it's not you.
Yeah.
My point being, and that scares me because the goosebumps, you mentioned goosebumps, right? So
you got to be in the room,
that real
man.
Honesty, the tingly moment that's live and present and right now. Where is AI going to affect storytelling, filmmaking? And sort of, I know it can influence for the good, but it just feels like there's so much that could go really the other way, really poor negative influences. How are we going to control this? I'm not suggesting you've got the answer at all. I'm interested in where you see it in the industry now, where you're using it for good and where you think it could be destructive.
From what I know about AI, I'm about reality. And I did an interview years ago where a guy says, how do you do what you do? And I said, goosebumps. If I don't get goosebumps, I don't do it. Feeling it. And with AI, you don't have that because it's not a human attached. And at the end of the day, we're all mortal. We're all human. You got to feel it.
But will we feel it in storytelling? I can't think of a good example for this. You might be able to, but like two stories that are the same, but one comes from the gut and one comes from AI.
But it originated from somebody's mind. It never originated from AI. It originated deep in the souls of an artist and how they put it out, be it a painter, be it a songwriter, be it a composer,
Yeah, I like that.
be it an author. And then AI takes that proprietary vision and you can manipulate it, but you got to start with it. It's got to be real to start with.
Yeah. When you showed the books earlier and just talking, there's so much passion and there's so much purpose coming from you. And it feels like if you don't have that purpose, like you're never going to retire, right? You're never going to be getting the bus pass and saying,
John, Judy,
yeah, I can't do an interview now. I'm past it all, and so that's never going to happen. But what is your purpose right now?
Well, my biggest passion is my family. I love my wife madly. I love my two boys. I now have my first grandson. My other younger kid is getting married. And my passion is to watch them become young men, as I have, to watch them fulfill their dreams, to have them bring the next gen into the world, and to travel and see different cultures. Judy and I have had the good fortune to not even connect it with my work. We went to Antarctica, we went to Galapagos, we tracked gorillas in Uganda, because you see the real thing. You can't AI a gorilla. You can't take those tortoises in Galapagos and watch them move, and then you see it on AI. It ain't the same. So I'm about real.
Yeah. And so much of what you've been able to do and still do is from being successful. You've been around some incredibly successful people as well. Sitting here now, how do you define success?
Goosebumps.
I love that.
Because if you get them, some people get goosebumps, they make money, but I never have done anything for the money. I did it for the goosebumps, then you make the money if it's good. And you get lucky sometimes. Hey, I've had a lot of stuff happen that didn't happen. I've made a lot of records, written a lot of songs that I call my noble failures. Why? Because they didn't happen, but they're still good. And if I cared about doing it you got to get lucky. So I define success by your pride in what you do. You're interviewing, you find out information, you meet interesting people, then they get you off. I like to do it with media. I like to then take it and share it.
I love that. And just thinking now about some of the people you have worked with, I mentioned Tina Turner, Dolly Parton, Stevie Wonder. Who have you been most impressed with and why? Who have you sort of worked with, collaborated and gone, they really are a genius or they really are special?
Wow. I've been very lucky to work with Denzel Washington narrated my John Coltrane film. Bill Clinton spoke to it. They're real people. They actually talked about their passion when they were in a documentary. They didn't ask what the payday was. Darius Rucker, who's the lead singer of a band called Hootie and the Blowfish, does a version of Heartbreak Hotel in my Reinventing Elvis movie, showing that the song was relevant then when Lieber Stoller wrote it, who wrote Stand By Me in the 60s. Heartbreak Hotel was written in the 50s, still relevant. Darius Rucker does a version. We did a version of my film of Blue Suede Shoes. I had a guy from Dominican Republic, Mafio, do a salsa version. And my partners at the time, Paramount Plus, thought that was so cool. We made a video and they put it on a Jumbotron in Times Square. So you get the Latin market into Elvis. That's pretty cool. That was last year.
That's really cool.
So, it's like, even though it's the past, everything old is new.
Yeah.
Beethoven influenced Bach, Handel, Mozart. Beatles were influenced by Little Richard. Stones were influenced by the blues from Chicago. So is Zeppelin, so is Beck. Everything old is new.
There's so many names there, so many things you've been part of, but I'm going to go back to that question. You've got to give me one person, one person,
you.
But for whatever rock star.
You know why? Because hey dude, listen, because you pay attention, you ask good questions, and you care about getting good answers. My best answer is there isn't one person. It's like Sophie's Choice. You ever see that movie with Meryl Streep? Yeah. Which kid do you love most? I got two kids. My holding company is called Morling Manor Music. Morling is Morgan and Sterling. It's both guys. It's equal.
Yeah.
When I'm not here on the planet, it's equal. They're equally, I love them both. They're very different, but it's equal. So which artist, which poet, which personality did I thought Tina was great because she got beat up by Ike a lot and she stood strong and she stood with her talent. I thought she was a very special person. Plus, she's a damn good singer. But was she the greatest person I've met? No, I thought Stevie was great. I thought Stevie was so smart. You can't see, but you can feel and you can hear. I thought that blew me away. A lot of people, I've had the good fortune. Don McLean is a poet. He wrote Vincent. He wrote American Pie. Those songs are timeless. I really like him because I think he's smart and he cares. And I can't pick one. I can give you...
No, you've answered it perfectly. I pushed you because you named so many, and I was like, actually, which one would he bring up? And you've articulated it brilliantly.
I can keep going, man.
Your empathy, your I'm going to call it that kind of intuition, how you work with the gut, the goosebumps, it resonates from you. And you could sort of bring that into a conversation about mental health. And I know that you seem to be way ahead of your time because it's talked about a lot more now. Two guys talking about how we're feeling and being vulnerable, and which is actually a strength. But you were ahead of your time with mental health. Tell me about that.
The album Mental Health or Mental Health, because really I believe that, again, it's about dreaming. Even if you're missing a few cards in the deck, if you dream and you find a way to get it fulfilled, whether you paint, whether you talk, whether you dance, whether you play a sport, it's all about fulfilling something, vision or a dream. So I made a record with a band back in 1982, 83. It was a heavy metal band called Quiet Riot. We had a big hit, Come On Feel the Noise, but the album was called Metal Health, not Mental Health. And it was a guy with a red leather straitjacket in a padded room. He needed to bust out. What did it mean? The figurative thing is he needed to rock. What did the album cover? It had all those fans. People go, God, man, we want to just break through. And that's really what happens when somebody has a challenge. You got to break through. whatever it is. You got to have a dream, you find a way, you break through.
And you can relate that to yourself, an entrepreneur that has been so multifaceted in your industry, and you've already covered it, right? The amount of failures you've had, they're not failures. They're all part of the journey to then have the successes, yeah? So actually this whole, someone watching this now, and this is going to be my next kind of question, that could be at that particular moment in their life, they've hit the bump in the road, they see something as a failure. What advice would you give to them?
Keep going. Because you're going to ride roller coasters, you're going to have a lot of stuff thrown at you. And I tell my kids, because I've done okay, I can put you on the Yankees, this American sports team. I can put you in the World Series, I can't hit the ball. It's up to you to hit it. So if you strike out Babe Ruth, American ball player, hit the most home runs for a period, but he also struck out the most. You just keep going. And when you learn, when somebody says no, you learn why. And the next time, if you get the same circumstance, you might find a different way to go about it. But the best way to keep going is know you're going to get knocked down. Know you're going to get rejected. Know you're going to be poor. Everybody rich maybe was poor unless you're somebody you inherited, you're a silver spoon kid. But the real winners, the real successful people in the world started with nothing. And they dreamt. And for some reason, Steve Jobs, Richard Branson, read Richard Branson's book. He's an English guy. He has a book that said, screw it, let's just do it. One of my favorite books of all time, because when he was a young guy, he would dream of doing stuff. His parents put him on a small allowance, but he figured, how was he going to get around going from here to here to here? Ingenuity.
Yeah, I love this. And it's testament to you as well in context of your own life story. And being able to share this as well,
Sure.
Which is, as you say, to then share from a media point of view, learning from others, their lived experience for me is so much more valuable than anything out of I was going to say out of a book. Be careful, because there's the whole messages you can get through books, podcasts, and so on can be brilliant. But having that opportunity to talk with someone like yourself and sharing this.
I do as much as I can at university levels to actually lecture, to do Q&As, because it's real. And I don't really plan a curriculum. I'm a visiting professor at a big music school in America called Belmont. And part of my gig is to have kids ask me, like you're asking me, what about this? What about this? I say, get an internship. What's your passion? Oh, I like going to concerts. Fine. Go work for a promoter. Or I like doing this, or I do. There's always something you can do. If you're a dreamer, you want to do A, B, or C, then intern, get beat up, realize that what you're doing may not be what you're going to do in 5 years, but everything's a step along the way.
Awesome. So it's removing the ego at a young age, saying I'm not, so you're prepared to do the hard graft and you're prepared to do the coffees, the whatever it might be, to get into the right place.
That's right.
To then elevate.
Intern, man. My son Sterling worked for a company, Vice Media, that wound up with the market cap of $6 billion. He started working for them as an intern. He made nothing. He wound up working his way up, and he didn't come from a poor family, but he came with a rich heart. And he realized, go get coffee, go do this, go schlep, go Xerox. I remember when I was working for Clive Davis, I used to say to him, let me stay late, let me get into the files and Xerox all the deals. I'd like to see your Vladimir Horowitz deal, your Streisand deal, Blood, Sweat, and Tears deal here, and see how those deals came from here to here before the artist made it big. I was 23 years old. What did I want to do? I wanted to learn.
Wanting to learn and having that passion and then keeping going. What have you not done?
What have I not done?
That you really want to do?
I just want to keep doing what I'm doing and make a difference.
Well, you're doing that.
I don't think I got started in the music business when I started writing songs when I was a teenager. And I got lucky. I had a lot of songs recorded. I got a good job. I parlayed that, got an education. And then I kind of found my footing. But it took it took a journey. It didn't just happen. I didn't start and say, this is what I want to be 50 years from now. But I did say, this is the area I wanted to play in. Then I had to find a way to take that journey, go down that yellow brick road and find my way.
Yeah, well, your yellow brick road brought you to me today, and I'm so grateful for you making time in your busy schedule.
Things happen for a reason.
I believe that.
I'm a big fan of the guy who introduced us, and
Mark Forster.
Mark Forster.
Thank you, Mark.
You did a really nice interview with him. I had dinner with Mark earlier in the week, and he said, hey, watch this interview. Tell me what you think. I said, it's great. Good questions. He answered it well. He said, how would you like to meet John? I said, I'd like to do that.
Well, it's been a pleasure and a privilege
Thank you, man.
to talk with you and film with you. Thank you, Spencer.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I can take my glasses off. I actually have blue eyes.